So, all right, so we've got some questions here for you from our listeners, and the first one is from Lazarus2000 asks on Twitter, how do you keep on top of all your VAs to make sure they are all on track?
I have three answers for this. Number one, I don't necessarily have to. They are Filipino. They are on track, right? That's my best answer. I already told you about the culture and the audio that you get for free on my site. It'll tell you more about it, but they're super, super honest. They're going to do what you tell them to do. And they're super hardworking, right? So and as soon as you hire someone, you'll understand this. You'll understand the first time they email you and say, I had an internet outage today for 4 hours. I'll make it up for you on Saturday, right? That's when you'll realize, oh, wow, yeah, this is very different. This is very different than me if I were being a VA for someone. If I had an internet outage, I'd say, screw you, right?
Yeah.
That's answer number one. Answer number two is, I don't care, right? If I'm paying someone $100 a month and they're only working 4 hours a day instead of 8, I don't care, right?
Heaven forbid they waste 2 hours and $6 of your money, you know.
Right. I mean, it's so cheap that it just doesn't matter as long as they're making me more money than I make them. Okay, that's my second answer. My third answer is something I started doing recently. I started doing this with one of my guys because I knew he wasn't working enough, and he wasn't working enough to make me happy. So there's a website called rescuetime.com, and it is software that you install on your computer, and then it tracks what you do, and it categorizes those things for you. So I had my guy install it on his computer under my account so that I can now see what he is doing. And I sent him an email saying, hey, I'm not doing this to monitor you. I'm doing this to track and see what we are spending our time on so that we can be more efficient, right? Come to find out that he's working like 9 hours a week, right?
Wow.
And he's still profitable for me at that, right? But now he's certainly working more. So that's my third answer. So rescuetime.com, very, very good. Turns out, well, I'm not going to say it. I talked with the owner, and there are some very, very, very interesting investors into that company. So,
oh, really?
Really?
Well, yeah, looking at it right now, I'm like, I need to do a little tracking of my time and make these categories so I can say, oh, that category, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing that. Give that away.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm sitting here chuckling to myself because obviously you're very passionate about outsourcing, and you're very passionate about the Philippines, and I'm thinking, man, the Filipino government should hire you to be their workforce ambassador or something like that. And then I start chuckling to myself because I'm like, you would probably take the position and outsource it to a Filipino to do for you.
That's awesome.
So another question came in. This one came in by email, and this kind of goes just towards the quality of work thing. And this comes from Barry Robinson from the UK, and he says, my attempts at hiring writers have been a disaster because I've ended up paying for work that I can't use owing to poor quality. How do I make a ghostwriter of what to write about without practically writing it myself first? Should I simply produce a long list of bullet points or write a brief summary of each page? So what would you have to say to somebody like this? And of course, it could apply to just about anything. It's like, well, the graphics work is just not quite the quality I want. How do I make sure, how do I get the quality I want without having to practically do the job myself?
Well, number one, my guess is that Barry hired someone on Elance, and there's probably a good chance he hired someone in India. And so that was your first mistake. Second, in the Philippines, you have this guy working full-time for you, and he's permanent, right? So you really only have to train them one time on how to do this correctly, and then they're going to do it correctly forever, right? So that is very different. So when you're hiring someone, depending on what kind of writing you need, you need to make sure that you hire someone who speaks perfect English, or if you're not doing stuff that requires perfect English, just hire someone that speaks English. It'll be cheaper, I'll tell you that. But then beyond that, if you want to produce a long list of bullet points, those should be writing training. I would never write a brief summary of each page or each paragraph unless it was something very specific, right? Because once someone is trained in the Philippines, you never have this problem again, right? Whereas if you're hiring someone on Elance or in India, whatever, you'd have them do it once. They did it wrong. You got to have them do it right. You got to hire someone else the next time. They did it wrong. You got to have them do it right. That's my answer for this. Is make sure that when you hire someone in the Philippines, their English is up to the standard that you want for your writing. If you want perfect English, before you hire them, have them write an article and read it. Have them do the research on that article. I have my people write ebooks for me. Frankly, they're better quality than the ebooks I got when I was hiring them on Elance. And I was making sure I didn't have them in India, right? But they're better quality. The content is better. The research is better. The English writing is better. It's better than what I had done before.
Very nice.
Does that answer it, I hope?
Yeah, that's a good answer to the question. That actually, that brings, here's a question from me that I guess goes along with the same thing, because I've certainly, as Sterling said, we've used people in the Philippines, and we still have somebody in the Philippines that we use for work on a weekly basis right now. However, we've also run into cases where the virtual assistant, one part of your answer was, well, you train them up, and then at that point they should, just be able to do it right. At first, yeah, you may be babysitting them, but then they do it right. But we've had people where it feels like you even make a very specific procedure list for them. You do kind of train them up, and even after they've done it 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 times in a row, it's like they're still just missing stuff or not thinking ahead a little bit. It's like unless you say do this and then they do it, it doesn't quite get to that point, and then you just reach frustration because you feel like you have just become a babysitter for this job. Have you ever run into that case, and what do? Do you just let them go? Have you just found the wrong person, or what would you say to that?
I would say to you, let them go. I don't know. What do you have them doing for you?
Just one example is like we had somebody, and his real strength was graphic work, but he would do, sometimes we'd hire one guy we were using a while back. He'd post stuff to our website, we're constantly posting new content to our website, to our academy and things like that. But he would just miss little details. He would, forget to make this link that way, or he would, there would be, just a part of the post that was supposed to be there that just completely missing, or, just little details that weren't there, or a link was broken. He didn't check it to make sure it was actually working, and just things like that, even though it's like explicitly in the, procedure list, make sure it's this and make sure these all work and things like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I've, like I said, I have had literally thousands of people do this in the last year or so, and I've probably had 3 complaints from people about their person not doing stuff right, or consistently not doing stuff right. And most people that come back to me say, "Oh man, I got so lucky with my guy. He's so great. He does everything I want. He's so good at it. He's so." And I'm like, "You didn't get lucky. That's everyone."
Yeah.
Right? I would say to you guys, maybe you got unlucky and you just didn't get the right person for the job. And I would say go try and find someone else, because I don't have these problems. I never have had these problems. And like 90% of people that I talk to who have done this don't have these problems.